I spent my entire childhood jealous of the Eiffel Tower. To you, the Eiffel Tower is a monument. It is a symbol of romance, of travel, of culture. To me, it was the symbol of my mother's selfishness. It was the symbol of the month of July, the month she abandoned me every single year to go live her best life, while I sat at home eating frozen pizza with my aunt. For 15 years, from the time I was 5 until the time I was 20, my mother left me. Every year on July 1st, the ritual was the same. She would bring out the big red vintage suitcase. She would pack silk scarves. She would pack big sunglasses. She would pack dresses that looked too expensive for our ordinary life. She would kiss me on the forehead, smelling of expensive perfume, and say, "Be good, Leo. Mommy needs her time. Mommy is going to recharge. I will send you a postcard from paradise." And then she would leave. She would get into a taxi and vanish. For an entire month, she would be gone. She went to Paris, she went to Rome, she went to Bali, she went to the Greek islands. I knew this because the postcards would arrive like clockwork. "Leo, the wine in Tuscany is to die for. I am sitting on a terrace watching the sunset. Wish you were here, but glad I'm alone. Love, Mom." "Leo, the beaches in Maui are golden. I swam with dolphins today. I feel 20 years younger. See you soon." I hated those postcards. I tore them up. I threw them in the trash. I was a lonely kid. My father wasn't in the picture. It was just me and Mom. And for 11 months of the year, she was great. She was attentive. She was kind. But July was her month. I grew up thinking my mother was a hedonist. I thought she was a closet millionaire who spent all our extra money on herself. I thought she resented being a mother and needed a month every year to pretend she didn't have a son. I remember screaming at her when I was 16. "Why can't I go?" I yelled. "Why do you get to see the world and I have to stay here in this boring town? You are so selfish. You care more about your tan than you care about me." She just adjusted her sunglasses, looking cool and detached, and said, "Everyone needs a secret garden, Leo. This is mine. You will understand when you are older." When she came back from these trips, she always looked exhausted. She would sleep for a week. She called it jet lag. I called it a hangover. I thought she parties for a month straight, she drinks wine, she dances, and then she comes back here and crashes. I judged her so hard. I told my friends my mom was a party girl. I told them she was having a midlife crisis every single summer. 2 months ago, my mother died. She died during her trip to Tahiti. I got the call from my Aunt Sarah. She was crying. "Leo," she said, "it is your mom. She didn't make it." I didn't cry. I felt a surge of anger. "She died in Tahiti," I snapped. "What happened? Did she drink too many Mai Tais? Did she drown snorkeling? At least she died doing what she loved, ignoring me." Aunt Sarah went silent. There was a long, heavy pause on the phone. "Leo," she said quietly, "she isn't in Tahiti." I frowned. "What? The postcard came yesterday. It said the water was blue." "She is in Cleveland, Leo. She is at the Cleveland Clinic. You need to come." I drove to Cleveland. I was confused. I was angry. I thought maybe she had lied about the destination to meet a man. Maybe she was having a secret affair in Ohio. I walked into the hospital room, and my world ended. If you have ever judged a parent for taking time for themselves, or if you have ever felt abandoned by someone you love, you need to listen to this story. Please hit that subscribe button right now. I am going to tell you the truth about the postcards from paradise and the secret war my mother was fighting while I was busy calling her selfish. To understand the magnitude of the lie, you have to understand the specific details of my resentment. The money was a huge issue. We weren't rich, we lived in a small rental house. I wore generic sneakers, I didn't have the latest gaming consoles. Whenever I asked for something expensive, my mother would say, "We have to save, Leo. Life is expensive." But then July would come, and out came the red suitcase, out came the new clothes, out came the tickets. I did the math in my head. A month in Paris, a month in Maui, that costs thousands of dollars, 10,000 maybe more. She was spending our future on vacations. I remember one year I needed braces. My teeth were crooked, I was getting bullied. Mom, I need braces, I said. She looked at the budget, she sighed, Leo, we just can't do it this year, maybe next year. 2 months later, she left for London. I sat at home, rubbing my tongue over my crooked teeth, imagining her sipping tea at the Ritz. I hated her. I genuinely hated her. I thought she was choosing luxury over my health. I stopped talking to her about anything real. I treated her like a roommate. When she came back from her trips, pale and thin, I didn't ask her how it was. I just asked, did you spend it all? Is there anything left for groceries? She would just smile that weak, tired smile and say, it was worth it, Leo. The memories are worth it. Memories, I had no memories, just a box of postcards from places I would never see. When I arrived at the hospital in Cleveland, I expected to see her tan. I expected to see her looking like a tourist who had an accident. Instead, I saw a skeleton. My mother was lying in the bed, hooked up to more machines than I could count. She was bald, her skin was translucent, her eyes were sunken into her skull. She was already gone, I missed her by an hour. A nurse was packing up her things. Are you the son? The nurse asked. I nodded, unable to speak. She handed me the red suitcase, the famous red suitcase, the symbol of my abandonment. She said she wanted you to have this. She brought it with her every time. I took the suitcase, it felt heavy. I sat in the waiting room and I opened it. I expected to find souvenirs. I expected to find duty-free perfume. I expected to find a French beret or Italian leather. I opened the latch. The suitcase was filled with pill bottles. Hundreds of them. Anti-nausea medication, painkillers, steroids, blood thinners. And underneath the pills, there were stacks of hospital bracelets. I picked them up. Patient Alina Davis, date July 1998, oncology ward. Patient Alina Davis, date July 1999, radiation therapy. Patient Alina Davis, date July 2000, stem cell transplant. The dates matched the trips. July 1998 was Paris. July 1999 was Rome. July 2000 was Bali. She wasn't traveling the world. She was traveling to hell and back. She had been fighting a rare, aggressive form of cancer for 15 years. A cancer that required aggressive, month-long treatments that left her weak, bald, and sick. She didn't go to Europe, she came here to Cleveland to a specialist center. She spent her vacations vomiting in a hospital bucket. She spent her luxury time getting radiation burns. She spent her recharge time hooked up to an IV drip that pumped poison into her veins to kill the other poison. I dug deeper into the suitcase. I found a stack of postcards. They were pre-written. She had bought them in bulk years ago. Pictures of the Eiffel Tower, pictures of the Colosseum, pictures of beaches. I flipped them over. I saw her handwriting, but it was shaky. Sometimes there were blood spots on the paper where the pen had slipped. Leo, the food here is amazing. She wrote that while she probably couldn't eat solid food for weeks. Leo, I am dancing the night away. She wrote that while she was too weak to walk to the bathroom. Leo, I am so happy. She wrote that while she was dying. Why? Why lie? Why let me hate her? Why let me think she was selfish? I found a journal at the bottom of the suitcase. It was titled The Trip Log. I opened it. July 4th, 2005. The chemo is bad this time. I feel like my bones are melting. But I wrote Leo's postcard today. I told him I am in Spain. I told him I saw a bullfight. I want him to imagine me strong. I want him to imagine me full of life. If he knows I am sick, he will be scared. He's just a boy. He shouldn't have to worry about mortality. He shouldn't have to sit in a hospital waiting room smelling disinfectant. He should be playing baseball. He should be hating me for being absent, not pitying me for being dying. July 12th, 2009. I lost my hair today. I look like a monster. I am glad Leo isn't here. I bought a wig for when I go home. I will tell him I cut it short for European fashion. He will roll his eyes. I love it when he rolls his eyes. It means he is just a normal teenager. It means he isn't the cancer kid. I will bear the pain so he can have the normalcy. July 28th, 2015. The doctor says this might be the last trip. I am tired. I am so tired, but I have one more postcard to write. Tahiti. I always wanted to go to Tahiti. I will send him a picture of the blue water. I want his image of his mother to be blue water and sunshine, not this gray room, not these tubes. I want to be a memory of joy for him, even if I have to lie to create it. I sat in that hospital waiting room and I screamed. I screamed until a security guard came over to check on me. I realized what the jet lag was. It was her recovering from a month of chemical warfare on her body. She would come home, put on her wig, put on her makeup, and pretend she was just tired from the flight. She played the role of the selfish traveler so perfectly that I never suspected she was the selfless martyr. She spent the money, the braces money, the clothes money, not on luxury but on life. She was paying for the treatments that kept her alive for one more year. Well, she bought 15 years. The doctors probably told her she had 5. She fought for 15. She fought so she could see me graduate. She fought so she could see me become a man. And the whole time I was calling her names. I called her selfish. She was the most selfless human being who ever walked the earth. She accepted my hatred. She accepted my judgment. She allowed herself to be the villain in my story because she knew that having a selfish mother is better than having a dead mother. She knew that anger is easier to carry than grief. I looked at the braces' money. The reason she couldn't afford them wasn't because she bought a ticket to London. It was because the experimental drug cost $5,000 a dose. She chose to stay alive to raise me, even if it meant I had crooked teeth. I drove home with the red suitcase in the passenger seat. It smelled like her perfume, but now underneath the perfume I could smell it, the faint metallic scent of the hospital. I went into her bedroom. I looked at the closet. I found the wigs. They were in boxes on the top shelf. Summer blonde, Paris chic. I thought she was just being fashionable. I found the fake receipts she had forged to make her stories believable. Dinner at the Ritz, museum tickets. She had spent hours creating a fantasy world for me, crafting a narrative of a vibrant, adventurous mother, all while she was withering away in a bed in Ohio. I can't fix this. I can't go back and hold her hand during chemo. I can't go back and tell her she is beautiful without her hair. I can't go back and tell her that I would rather have a sick mom than a traveling mom. I can't tell her that I would have sat in that hospital chair for a month, holding her hand, and I would have been happier than I was alone at home. But I can tell you, we live in a world where we think we know everything about the people around us. We see someone taking a break and we call them lazy. We see someone spending money and we call them greedy. We see someone living and we call them selfish. But we don't see the destination. We don't see the war they are fighting. My mother fought a 15-year war with death, and she did it in secret just to protect my innocence. She let me hate her to save me. If you have a parent who disappears, if you have a parent who seems to keep secrets, if you have a parent who seems tired, don't judge them. Maybe they are fighting a battle you can't see. Maybe they are protecting you from a truth that is too heavy for you to carry. I am going to keep the red suitcase. I am going to fill it with the postcards. And I am going to travel. I am going to go to Paris. I am going to go to Rome. I am going to go to Tahiti. I am going to stand in the places she pretended to be. And I am going to say, Mom, you made it, we made it. I am going to live the life she invented for herself, the life she deserved, the life she sacrificed so I could have mine. Please call your mom. Ask her how she really is, look in her eyes. And if she tells you she is fine, look closer. Because sometimes I'm fine is the biggest lie of all. If this story broke your heart and opened your eyes, please share it. Share it for the silent warriors. Share it for the mothers who hide their pain. And in the comments, tell me, has anyone ever protected you from a truth you weren't ready for? Let's honor the protectors. Hit subscribe, we tell the truth here, even when the truth comes from a suitcase full of lies. Rest in peace, Mom, enjoy the view. You finally have the best seat in the house.